Can 40 Russian-made Su-57M1E stealth fighters truly give the Indian Air Force the confidence to counter Pakistan's J-20s? This topic has sparked lively debate in military circles recently, originating from a report by India's New Delhi television. According to this Indian outlet, after the 2025 aerial conflict with Pakistan, the Indian Air Force has come to a stark realization: without fifth-generation stealth fighters, they simply cannot feel secure. Consequently, they've set their sights on spending $7 billion to acquire 40 Su-57M1E stealth fighters directly from Russia. But that's not all. The Indian media report identifies the primary adversary for these Su-57M1Es as no ordinary foe. They don't even consider the J-35 as potentially sold to Pakistan as a threat, instead directly targeting the J-20. The Indian media's logic goes like this: China has been continuously upgrading the J-20 and ramping up its production year after year. Who can guarantee that these advanced behemoths won't end up in Pakistan's hands someday? Since the J-20 is a heavy stealth fighter, the only aircraft capable of going toe-to-toe with it must be in the same weight class, namely, Russia's Su-57. At first glance, this report sounds bold, but upon closer examination, it contains several questionable points. First, the Indian media's hypothetical adversary is somewhat misguided. Equipment of the J-20's caliber is clearly not for sale. Any discerning observer can see it's unlikely to be exported. If Pakistan seeks a fifth-generation fighter from China, the most realistic option is the export variant J-35. The premise of directly assigning the J-20 to Pakistan is fundamentally flawed. The second, and more critical, issue is whether the Su-57M1E truly lives up to Indian media's combat capabilities claims. We must first understand what kind of aircraft this is. The Su-57M1 is an upgraded variant of the Su-57, with the M1E sold to India being its export version. Compared to the earliest Su-57 batches, the M1 variant has undergone modifications, notably widening the fuselage. This redesign primarily aims to enhance stability during supersonic flight and better harness the potential of the new L51F1 engine. This new engine is undoubtedly the Su-57M1's most significant highlight. With increased thrust, its maneuverability should theoretically improve. Russia has also released considerable information indicating that the aircraft will be upgraded with a better active phased array radar, enhanced avionics, and a modernized weapons system. However, there remains one critical issue that the Russians have consistently avoided addressing directly: its stealth capabilities. Military enthusiasts know that since its debut, the Su-57's stealth design has been a subject of debate. Whether examining details like its air intakes or its overall stealth coating technology, it has consistently fallen short compared to mainstream fifth-generation fighters. If the upgraded Su-57M1 focuses solely on engine and radar improvements without substantial gains in stealth performance, the most critical capability, its status as a qualified fifth-generation fighter, remains questionable. In modern air combat, especially between fifth-generation aircraft, detecting an enemy often means defeating it. Without adequate stealth, the aircraft becomes a moving target in the sky. Even with superior engines and maneuverability, it remains vulnerable in beyond visual range combat. To put it bluntly, unless this stealth deficiency is addressed, the Su-57M1 cannot be considered a true rival to the J-20. It might even struggle against the smaller J-35. Beyond the aircraft's inherent performance, a stark reality confronts India. Can Russian factories deliver 40 aircraft on schedule? Let's examine Russia's production track record in recent years. Since the Su-57 entered service, Russia's own air and space forces have only acquired just over 50 units at most, while Algeria did purchase Su-57Es a couple of years ago, becoming the first overseas buyer, confirming Russia's export efforts. Even accounting for those deliveries and Russia's own military requirements, external estimates suggest the Su-57 production line's annual output is generally around a dozen to 20 aircraft. What does this figure mean? Take the American F-35 as an example. They can produce nearly 200 units annually. China's J-20 has also seen rapid production ramp up in recent years, with annual output long surpassing 100 units. Its production line employs more advanced pulsed assembly methods. In contrast, Russia still relies heavily on manual assembly, which inherently limits production speed. Compounding this, Western sanctions against Russia following the Russia-Ukraine conflict persist. The Su-57 previously incorporated numerous components and raw materials from Europe, the United States, Japan, and South Korea, sources now difficult to access, creating significant production challenges. Even if India finalizes the deal this year, Russia must prioritize orders from its own aerospace forces. Algeria's orders also take precedence. Under the most optimistic timeline, delivering all 40 aircraft to India would take at least 6 to 7 years. Once delivered, pilots must undergo training and achieve full combat readiness, a process that could easily span a decade. What will the landscape look like a decade from now? By then, the most advanced fighter in the Chinese Air Force's arsenal will certainly not be the current J-20 variant. It's entirely possible that J-20B and J-20C models will already be in widespread service. More crucially, given the pace of China's aviation industry, a sixth-generation stealth fighter will likely have made its official debut by then. Spending $7 billion and waiting a decade for a fleet of aircraft that may already be outdated upon delivery, no matter how you crunch the numbers, this deal seems rather unprofitable. Of course, it's still too early to say whether this deal will materialize. India also faces a significant domestic variable, its own ANCA stealth fighter program. India has been developing this project for years, though progress has been slow. The first flight is now projected for 2028 or even 2029, with operational deployment likely around 2035. Regardless, this is India's homegrown initiative, involving the interests of numerous domestic conglomerates and enterprises. Several recent signals are noteworthy. While Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, HAL, sought to participate in ANCA prototype manufacturing, it was excluded from the latest bidding round due to exceeding the specified order volume cap. The final contenders now include private firms like Tata Group, Kalyani Group, and Larsen & Toubro. This indicates the Indian government is determined to break the long-standing practice of reserving fighter jet production for state-owned enterprises. By bringing in private capital, they aim to transform the AMCA project into a truly national endeavor. The stakes involved here far exceed those of a military procurement contract with Russia. Fifth-generation fighters differ from fourth-generation models. The Indian Air Force cannot simply purchase hundreds of them at once. The market is finite. If India purchases Russia's Su-57M1E, it would significantly reduce orders for the AMCA and deprive it of the opportunity for early development. Indian domestic companies that have invested in the AMCA project will certainly not stand idly by and watch orders be snatched away by the Russians. Therefore, for the Su-57M1E to successfully enter India, it must first overcome the AMCA hurdle. Overall, this report from India's NDTV appears more like a one-sided appeal. Can purchasing 40 Su-57M1Es for $7 billion truly counter the J-20? That conclusion seems rather hasty. With inherent performance flaws, lengthy delivery timelines, and a domestically developed project waiting in the wings, whether this deal ultimately materializes remains to be seen.